Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. Robert Schuller, I'm telling you, in the 80s, there was scarcely a name bigger in the broader Christian world than Robert Schuller. And so I've been doing a series on different books that I've read over the years and authors that have impacted my life. So, like, Robert Schuller was part of the positive Christianity movement. He and Norman Vincent Peale, and I may do a video on him as well. Robert Schuller, he was part of the Dutch Reform from the Grand Rapids area, and that's pretty amazing, all that, the Bakers and the Erdmans and the Kriegels and the Pat Zonderbans and all of them from that area up there, Calvin College, and it's Holland, Michigan is near there. There's just a lot of, that's a whole story in and of itself. But so like his be happy attitudes and things, there was a time when I first got saved in the 80s and 90s. You might be shocked if you weren't around then, even in the apostolic movement, how many people were reading like Robert Schuller, Norman Vincent Peale, Og Mandino was another name, Zig Ziglar, kind of, and those were more combining business success with Christianity, and that harkens back to the old book Acres of Diamonds, that basically, in America, you could just do whatever you wanted to, make whatever you wanted to, self-made man. I think the Sears were supposed to be Christians of some sort, J.C. Penney. I think the name of his store at one time was the Golden Rule Store, and he was given 90% of his money to various Christian causes in a broad sense of that term. And so, I began reading some Robert Schuller back in that day, because a lot of the, what I would call at that time, very successful, even apostolic preachers, reading books of him and or in that genre. And, it can get just really iffy that positive Christianity, Christianity is just not all positive. There's heresy out there. You're fighting demons. We're wrestling not against flesh and blood. I fight, I press towards the mark of the prize of the high calling of Christ Jesus. And I think because there wasn't a lot, there was sometimes persecution, especially in the early part of the 20th century, but at a certain part of the 20th century wasn't a ton of persecution in a lot of areas. There may have been in certain areas, but just overall in the United States of America, and maybe even a lot of the Western world, that it just kind of gave this Bible promise, positive Christianity. And from a Pentecostal charismatic viewpoint, this would have been manifested in your health and wealth positive confession, your happy hunters, in a sense a little bit of Benny Hinn, but before that your Kenneth Hagins, E.W. Kenyons, your Kenneth Copelands, your Oral Roberts, and those type people. And so it was kind of almost a unique American kind of Christianity, American churchianity, but there wasn't biblical Christianity. So of all the things that I read about Robert Schuller and by Robert Schuller over the years, the book that I read a couple times, and maybe read parts of it 3 or 4 times, was his book Goliath, where it's just his biography, his autobiography, about how he started out and all of that. And, I just appreciate autobiographies like Nona Freeman and Oma Ellis, and who else? Sister Wallace used to write great Christian biographies. I think Brother Turner's writing some great Christian biography. I just like all this. Sam Latta's got a couple of phenomenal books, Black and Blue and I'm Not Through, and Liberia's Sweet on that. He was my pastor. And so I just enjoy, and I haven't read them yet, but like Vaughn Morton's got a biography out. Old Brother Spell, B.A. Spell, has a biography out. I did a wedding several years ago with Brother Holmes in North Little Rock. He gave me some biographies and other books. And that's another, we talk about this positive Christianity and all that. He really likes, it's not how to win friends and influence people, but it's another book kind of in that genre. I can't even think of the name of the book right now. I read that way back in the day. May have read it twice. But anyhow, getting back to Schuller, his book on Goliath, just what he went through. And a lot of times we don't see that. Even like T.L. Osborne, he would have been in the Pentecostal or charismatic realm of the kind of American prosperity gospel. And I've seen God is prospering his people. I will say Pentecost by far is more prosperous materially now than I've ever seen. It's a Solomon generation. It's unbelievable. I have friends and people tell me how much money they've got in the bank and all this. I'm talking about their churches. It's unbelievable. And the expenses they go through and the beauty of their buildings and all that, and some sacrificial giving in some instances as well. But his biography just is, it's really spoke to me. Well, there's another one, How High My Mountain. What was that guy's name? He was the UPC, and then he went with the AMF, and then his son is still preaching today. I think a grandson is pastoring in Clearwater. Ballestero. Brother Ballestero's biography, I've read that a couple times. But Robert Schuller, his biography really spoke to me. And, he had the Crystal Cathedral and all that. And I never cared for his preaching at all. I tried to watch sometime. I didn't own a TV, but I'd be places and they'd have it and he'd be in his robe. I couldn't get into his preaching at all. They said he was like the first preacher, Arm and Hammer, got him into the Soviet Union. And I think it was before the Soviet Union fell. And he was very honored by that privilege. But I was like, I just don't get into this, the be happy attitudes and all this. But I'm more Jonathan Edwards, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God kind of guy. No, I'm probably not. I'm much nicer than that. I just try to follow God. The Bible's got promises, and then it's got promises. It's got different promises. Heaven's a promise, hell's a promise. You choose. But anyhow, so I enjoyed it. So that's just a little bit of people that have influenced me in my life. So God bless. We love you. Thanks for being here, and join us daily, and hit the bell notification when you subscribe. Share, put it on social media, leave a comment. God bless. We love you. Bye.